Hi, it's Emily or Emmy Rose 22A. Welcome to Crafty Accountability, a place to keep me accountable on my crafty adventures while sharing them with you. Today is Friday, August 13th, 2021, and this is episode 10. Welcome back. I'm excited to be back after only a week. I don't have a whole lot of crafty content. I've been pretty monogamous on what I've been working on, but I just wanted to come back and share what I have done, and I just have a few personal messages that have kind of resonated with me this week. My cats are walking in and out today, so hopefully they won't bump the tripod too much. Silly cats. I'm still in the office. Our contractor came back out and did a lot of the little finishy work that needed to be done. I need to repaint the ceiling and touch up some paint next to the door, and then most of it's up to us for my husband to get blinds and order his desk, and then we'll order my desk after that. We're going to redo the next room when this one's done, so we want his desk in here so he can start working in here, but we're going to move our kitchen table into here while they do the area where the kitchen table currently is. So I won't have my sewing area out here until that's all done. I realized last week I didn't tell you where you can find me online. I'm most active, especially crafty wise, on Instagram. I am Emmy Rose 22A over there. I do have a Ravelry account as well, Emmy Rose 22, if you can use Ravelry. I do a lot of tests. I do upload my stuff, especially my test projects, to Ravelry, so you can find information on those there. I'll start out today with what I'm wearing. I figured since I didn't have a whole lot of crafty content, I would wear one of my I have a total of 3 knit garments finished right now, so I figured I'd give you number 2. I was thinking I should wait a week, but then when I didn't have a whole lot of craftiness going on, I figured I'd share something. So this is my Palmier Knits top by Chelsea of Knit and Tipsy. And the yarns I used for this, the gray is the Fiber Company Cumbria fingering in gray. And then the body of the sweater is the one string in her charm base. And the colorway is Shark Attack, which when we went looking for a coordinating color for my ribbing, I wanted something shark colored because this is Shark Attack. So I wanted the gray of the shark. This is a wide shouldered. I kind of have it centered a little. It can very easily go off the one shoulder for a sexy kind of look, which is usually how I wear it. I just thought I'd keep it up a little more today. This is a more cropped and looser boxy top than my twisted tee. Sorry, my cat again. Maybe it's because I'm recording in the morning this time, and last time it was afternoon, so my husband and my daughter were out there in the living room, so they must have been out with them last time because they were not bothering me. But it's morning, my daughter's still asleep, my husband's out at an appointment, and the sun shines in the sliding glass door in the morning, so the cats like to lay in the warmth, so they're out here. And of course, if I'm here, they think I should be petting them. Anyway, this is a little more cropped than my twisted tee, and it's a little more boxy flowy. So let me stand up. I'm wearing the same pants again to give you kind of a reference that it is. I don't even know if I can show you. I'll have to scooch my chair. There we go. It's a little shorter. It's still kind of, I guess it doesn't hit too much lower than the other. It just, I guess because it's more flowy, it tends to show more skin in general. But you can see how loose, boxy it is. It's very comfortable. The color isn't specifically, because I'm a purple girl through and through, but I do try to branch out and do other things, and I think it's super cute and fun, and I feel really cute wearing it. So I tend to wear this one a little more with kind of a little bit higher waisted pants, just so I'm not showing the skin all the time. I guess I'm not comfortable with that, so that's what I do. I have my notebook down here, and I'm not fully used to just flying through everything, so if you see me looking down, that's why. I'm sorry I keep clearing my throat. I noticed I did that a lot last time. We have a lot of smoke I'm in Layton, Utah, northern Utah, and we've had a lot of smoke from the wildfires in Oregon and California blow in, and so it just makes me froggy. Luckily I don't have like breathing issues because I believe we're down to only 4th worst in the country for air quality. We were number 1 worst for quite a while, and that's just crazy because it's not even our fires. But I mean, my heart breaks that California's having fires that bad that the air's blowing over to us, but that's why. And I've got water, but it just doesn't seem to help. Okay, so on to what I've been working on. Let me scooch my notebook. The only thing I have been knitting on is my Twisted Tea shorts. I've made some progress. I put a cute little progress keeper where I was last time, so I was down here. I've knit all the way up. This is a super cute jellyfish from Lach and Lou. I'll put a link to her website down there. I loved the little jellyfish tentacles. I have several of her progress keepers. She just does such beautiful work. And just a reminder, this is the Twisted Tea shorts by Briana Luppino, the Little Wolf Knits. And the yarns I'm using are Knit Pick Stroll Tonal in Pearlescent and Seashell. And there's a little bit of like pool flashing, I guess, with the dark pink, but I think they're super cute. I just finished the raglan increases on the sides, and I'm ready to knit straight for a few inches, and then I'll be on to legs. Thus far I am totally on track to have these done on time, which, as I should be. I'd like to get a little ahead. I do have 2 other tests that I need to get on, but just making good progress on those. It's just finding the time to knit, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. That's all I have for my yarny content. For sewing, I did not get Tabitha's outfit altered. I did get pictures of her in the outfit yesterday, and then we kind of unexpectedly had to take my nephew to football practice, and which is fun, but I ran out of time. It was really good though. There was a little girl there who played with Tabitha, and Tabitha ran around with her. The girl was 6 and Tabitha's only 3, but I mean, that's fine. The little girl was super like accommodating to her being so much younger, and I just had fun. It's so nice to see Tabitha play with other kids. Oh, this pandemic. She just hasn't had much socialization. So I have been working on my project bags. I do not have any finished yet, but I've kind of narrowed it down to 2 that I'm going to finish all the way through for my timing and pricing and all of that, and then I'll crank the other ones like assembly line style. I'm totally dreading the whole timing of everything aspect, and that's not the funnest to me, and I have to really focus to remember to time. I just want to go in and sew. Here comes my cat again. So I just want to get that part out of the way so that that's done, and then I can just go in there and sew on whatever part I want to sew on, and kind of just figure out my assembly line for the quickest way to do everything. And they are almost finished. I'm on the last few stages. It seems to me, and I made a few different patterns before I settled on the Finch Bucket Bag by Stitch Mischief. And it seems to me there's always like, you start out and you're making all the pieces and getting everything prepped, your handle, your pockets, like your casing, like it's just, all that's just going. And then you start assembling it. And at the assembly point, especially where you have to start doing the side seams, you just hit this total slog, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is taking me forever. What is even happening here? And then all of a sudden, you're sewing up the bottom, and you're ready to flip it and top stitch and give it a final press, and you're done. And it's like, whoa, what happened there? So I just passed that slog phase, and I'm about to be on the, oh, what happened? So I'm fairly certain I will have something to show you next week. I'm really excited about that. And I'm really excited that I've had the push and the drive to actually get in the craft room and do some sewing. I haven't had every night, but I've had that available. We went to our local amusement park, has a water park inside, and we went there one night because that's going to close Labor Day, and it's only open during the week, this week and next, because school's starting, so they close weekdays when school starts. So we just wanted to get as much out of that as we could. They did so good. We got our puddle jumper, one of those floaties that straps on kind of like a life vest, but you're more mobile than a life jacket. So it's got arm floaties and a chest floaty. That was my pen hitting the ground. And she actually like swam on her own. She was so excited when we went in. Usually when we go in the deep water, she's just like clings on you and is kind of like, I don't know, Mom, don't let go. But once she figured out she could float, she was great. And I did also sign us up for our last session of parent-child swim lessons. So we'll be, So we'll be doing that at the, near the end of the month, the 23rd, I think is when we start, and we do that for 2 weeks. So I'm really excited to see what she does there, especially now that she's a little more brave in the water. Like I said, I didn't have as many nights as I could have, but I did make it a point to get in there and get some sewing done and make some progress on that. I fully believe I will be ready to have a listing up, or at least prepared to be up by my deadline of August 31st. So I'm really excited about keeping up on that. And I just decided not to stress about her outfit. I got pictures yesterday finally, and I was going to try to like squeeze in getting it done. This really did help keep it on the forefront of my mind, so it wasn't like a month later and I'm like, oh yeah, I was gonna do that thing, because I do, after each episode I write down in my notebook what I had said I wanted to have done for the next week, and so I have a little checklist of what's supposed to be done, and I review that throughout the week. I'm going to talk a little bit about that kind of stuff later too. I just kind of wanted to get through my crafty stuff first, and then I'll talk about my other things. I got some new yarn. I placed my first order with Hobbii yarns. They are out of Europe. I'm not certain exactly where. My yarn started in, I want to say Denmark, I think. But I got some cotton yarns from them. This is the Rainbow Cotton 8/8. It is a DK weight. It's supposed to be about a DK weight. And I got 8 skeins of this one, because I believe they are, I think they're 50 gram skeins. So I got 8 skeins of this one for a test crochet pattern that I'm going to be working on. I will definitely have the swatch done next week. I'm pretty sure I'll have some progress made on that for next week. This test is actually due before my shorts test, but I crochet faster than I knit, so I should be able to get through this quicker. And I'm kind of looking forward to, I'm interested to see how switching between knit and crochet works with my, like, helping my arm with a little break. So, and then I got these 2 colors. It's their Rainbow Deluxe cotton. It's a Turkish, 100% Turkish cotton. Here comes the cat again. He's a wanderer. And this is a fingering weight. This is their 8/4. And this is a fingering weight, and these will be 4. This is the main color. This is an accent color for another test knit that I'm doing. It's a smaller project, so, and it's not due until like a week after my shorts, so this one may not get much love yet. Although I am really anxious to get swatching to see. The other testers are working theirs up so fast that I really want to get a jump on mine, but the shorts right now are my first priority for knitting, since they're due first. But if I do get ahead on them a little bit, then I will definitely be swatching for these. I'm kind of excited. I don't need a whole lot of the contrast color, so I think for my swatch I might try and knit like a baby washcloth size, because Tabitha's little washcloths weren't that much bigger than 4x4, maybe 5x5, and this is super soft, so I thought it might knit up into a really fun baby washcloth. So, and that would be fun to have on hand, and since I'm knitting a swatch anyway, so I'm kind of, I may have that next week. I'm not sure. This is definitely not a priority right now. It's just when you get new stuff, you want to do new stuff. So that's all I have crafty wise. There were a few things I wanted to talk about kind of personal wise, not like nothing's been happening or anything. We're just plugging along, end of summer. We've talked about putting Tabitha in preschool this coming year, like for the school year, and just 2 to 3 days a week, just something to get her socialized and around other kids, maybe where we're still dealing with her torticollis tilt a lot. I thought maybe playing with other kids might help, kind of help her straighten out when she sees that, you know, other kids don't tilt like that. Maybe she's super smart, but I'm not certain how to help develop that. I'd like her to keep that. We think she might have, like, her dad, my husband, has an eidetic memory. Not completely like photographic remembers everything, but he does have a little bit of that photographic memory on certain things. And and we believe she has that, and maybe even more so than him. She can remember some crazy stuff, which is a blessing and a curse. You gotta be careful what you say, because she'll call you on it. Here. Oh, he's just gonna meow at me for food. It's not time to eat breakfast yet. Oh, here he comes. There, he's gonna bump the tripod. And here comes his brother, perhaps. Total distraction, you two. Anywho, so I've kind of been looking into preschools, and just the whole concept that she would go to like a super short term, like, you know, only a few couple days a week preschool this year. And then next year would be more like a pre-K, where she's actually getting prepared for kindergarten, and then kindergarten's the next year. That's only like 2 years of preschool, and then she's in kindergarten. That's not that far away. And I know she's 3, and I can do the math that at 5 she goes to kindergarten, but when you start putting it tangible. So I had a rough day this week. And when I have like depressive episode, I tend to retreat into my phone, to social media. I will just sit there and I will read those stupid articles on Facebook that come up, you know, like 10 times doctors missed crazy medical things, or family secrets revealed, or whatever. I'll just sit and read on my phone because it's like an escape, and that's not healthy. It also takes away from my knitting time, because when I'm reading on the phone like that is usually when I would be doing my knitting or crocheting or something crafty, and doing crafty things helps me keep productive. It also keeps me away from like keeping up on my housework, which is not good. I have had times in the past where I have retreated like that for weeks, and my stuff has definitely like suffered for it. I wasn't so bad with Tabitha that day. I paid attention to her, and it was more just when she was not like playing on her own. I was just on my phone. I've had times where it's like I'll just give her tablet and let her play her games while I'm on my phone, which isn't the best for her. But when you're like that, you just don't know how else to cope. So anyway, I recognized it. I realized that's not like the healthy way to deal with those feelings, and I only had 1 day of it, so it didn't completely like derail my life or anything, so that's good. I don't know if this even matters, but I've had depression, like clinical depression, before I've been on medication. I am no longer on medication. I don't know that I ever found the greatest like cocktail of what was right for me. So I know when I went off my medications, I didn't feel any worse off of them than I did on them, because I still had depressive episodes when I was on the medication. So I just try to self-care. At this point, I don't get hit by it just randomly so much anymore. I can tend to find like a tangible reason, and sometimes I do still give into it for a bit, and it may help that I have like I used to live by myself, and it was a lot harder for me to snap out of something like that when it was just me at home. And now that I have my husband and especially my daughter, it's harder for me to just sink into that. And like I said, sometimes I do, and my husband's great and helps pick up the slack when I am having a hard time, and I tell him I'm having a hard time and he understands and does what he can to try to help. So that's not even what I wanted to talk about. I was just letting you know that, preschool, how's my little girl big enough for preschool? Good. Anyway, it kind of relates to some motivational stuff I've been working on lately. One of the things I kind of came to realize, I listened to a couple of motivational podcasts. One is The Motivated Mind with Scott Lynch, and he releases an episode every Monday. And I started listening to Scott. We started chiropractic care for Tabitha last year in February. So before everything hit, we started. And we found a good family chiropractor, and they kind of specialize in expecting mother and children and babies' children. But they are about 30 miles away from us. So, and we were going every single day at the beginning. And so I had a 35-minute car ride every day back and forth. So that's when I got into podcasts, like listening to podcasts. And Scott was one of the first people I found. So every Monday I would listen to his episode on the way to the chiropractor. And he had enough back episodes that I was just listening to the back episodes as we went. And I've listened to every single one of them. And he just has some great information. And I just feel like I've heard this stuff before. I've read this stuff before. Sometimes just hearing it again or hearing it repeatedly. There are a handful of episodes that I have listened to 2 or 3 times. And sometimes you just need it to stick in your head. It sticks initially and you get that little spark of inspiration. But then by the time I go to the chiropractor, I listen to a different podcast on the way home. I go about my week. I don't do anything about it. And so like re-listening to it and kind of keeping, and some of them, the ideas kind of repeat. Not saying he's repetitive and you don't need to listen, but just kind of the theme repeats, and there's things that resonate with me. And so I've kind of been putting those into practice. The other one I found more recently because I was listening in the mornings when I would knit, and I just, having listened to everything Scott has, and he only releases once a week, I was looking for something else, and I found The Mindset Mentor with Rob Dial, and he releases multiple times a week. I'm not 100% certain what his like posting schedule is, but he's multiple times a week. And I've found great value from him. Scott is very soothing and mellow and like methodical, I guess is more the way I put him. Rob is very much more like peppy, upbeat, getcha. And I love both of them. I love that they have the different styles. They have very similar messages, which if you listen to anything on motivation, they're all telling you the same thing. But I like hearing it in different ways. Sometimes that just makes it resonate with you differently. So one theme I have kind of picked up on is, well, they always talk about your why. And I'm a doTERRA wellness advocate. I love essential oils and I use them regularly for my family and in my life. And at one point when I first started, I was trying to work it as a business. And they always talk about your why. And all the motivational people talk about your why. Why are you doing it? You have to know why, or else you're never going to have the motivation to do it. And my motivation for a lot of these things has been my family. And I feel like that's a very strong why. But even I would like to be more physically fit. I'm an older mom, and I want to be around for my daughter, and I want to be able to play with her. I don't want it to be like, oh, mom's tired, or oh, it's hard for mom to get on the floor. Or I've had the trouble where sometimes I'm not I'm just too big to get on the slides. Like, she wants me to slide with her or play on the things, and I'm a little too big for that. And I don't have to be. I am overweight, so, and I'm not very active. So there are ways around that, and I want to be all that for her. And I couldn't figure out in my own head why she wasn't enough of a why for me. But recently, since I've taken on pattern testing, and I guess maybe pattern testing is teaching me a lot of things in my other life that I really didn't expect. But with the two tops that I've tested, I have kind of come down to the wire in the last like 2 weeks of the test. I end up breaking down how much I need to do, and it's a couple of hours of knitting a day, and I don't always get a couple of hours of knitting a day. So I get up early and I knit for an extra hour in the morning every single day, and I make it I'm on the wire, but I make it. And I just kind of thought, I'm like, well, if I can get up early to knit, because my husband has often complained that if I put the focus I put on my crafting onto our house and like the home improvement things we want to do and things like that, that I'd be a well-rounded rock star. And he's completely right, because I will prioritize like making a birthday gift over, you know, like cleaning off a counter that needs to be cleaned off. And we have that dynamic where I am a stay-at-home mom and he works full-time and supports us financially. And we have the agreement, he and I, that like the house is my job. Keeping it clean, keeping it organized, decluttered, all that is my job. And so that's how I look at it. And so that's kind of where that comes from, is from our dynamic that the house is supposed to be my job. But the week it was my Twisted T-shirt, the one I wore last week. The week before that was due, I didn't do the dishes that whole week. My kitchen was a mess. And again, I'm focusing on my crafting rather than the house, and he's right. Anyway, so I thought to myself, if I can get up and knit for an extra hour every morning, then I absolutely have time to get up and walk every morning. One of my mental hangups there was, in January, I started an exercise routine, and I did it for January, February, and part of March, and then I fell off. But I was doing an exercise program one day, and then I would walk the next day. Right now, I don't really have any desire to do the exercise program. Like, it doesn't feel fun or anything to me. So I just really, it's like, I don't want to do that. But walking is like, you know, pushing myself, getting my time down, lengthening my distance, stuff like that. Like, I want to be able to walk a 5K in a good time. About a 15-minute mile, I've heard, is a good time. It's kind of what I've read online. So like, I want to do that. And I put it off because I wasn't doing both aspects of the exercise. Well, who says that's what I have to do? Just me in my head. And so then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to walk, because that's what I want to do. Oh, the other thing is, they always say, that you should focus on toning and not just aerobic exercise, because that's how you lose weight, is toning. And walking isn't toning. It's not doing anything for my upper body. But again, I just decided it's better than nothing. Is it sitting on the couch? No. It has to help something. If nothing else, I'll be able to walk faster after Tabitha, or I'll have a little more endurance when I'm playing with her. Like, I don't see how there can be any negative to actually doing something versus nothing. And if I have time to knit in the morning, then I have time to walk. I'm definitely one of those people who's like, I don't have time to walk during the day. I've got to get this project done. I got to do the house. I don't have time. And I took some of my knitting time, and I'm walking. I've been walking every morning, well, Monday through Thursday for the past 2. This is my second week, so I mean, I don't have like the hugest track record, but that's what I'm doing. And do you know what happened because of that? I now am more conscious about my sitting time not being on my phone, because if I have 10 minutes where Tabitha's in her room playing, I can knit. Or I can start a load, and I do this too. Go start a load of laundry and then you can knit. Or unload the dishwasher and then you can knit. So my house is looking better, and I'm keeping up on my knitting time. So guess what? There was plenty of time. I just had to reprioritize. And I had to not put these stupid limitations on myself. don't understand the human brain, I guess, that it's just so limiting like that. But if you think you don't have time, maybe try like looking into your time and seeing where it can be. I feel so good that I've been walking and that I'm doing this, and I'm doing it for my health and for my daughter, and like it makes it even more meaningful now that I've started. And I guess I kind of found my why after I started instead of starting because of my why. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you. And I've been listening to my motivational podcast while I walk, and that has been super helpful and insightful, and just kind of like keeping things on the forefront of my mind and keeping me wanting to make progress. And that's another realization I kind of came to is with my pattern tests, I have a deadline. And when it comes up to that deadline, I push. I get up at like an hour early every morning, which I get up at 7 anyway. So I get up at 6 and I knit for an hour. And then I get on my like 7 o'clock daily routine. And I'm not a morning person. So that's not normal for me. I am a total night owl, not a morning person. But when I have that deadline looming, I can push myself to do that kind of stuff. So I think I don't want to just be doing pattern tests, which I got a little like overzealous with them, I think. I'm going to be a little more selective, and there are a few coming up that I still want to do, but I don't want I have plenty of crafts that I want to do for myself, projects that I want to do for myself and my family, and I want to do a sweater for Tabitha, and I have a sweater and a blanket going for Rob, and he wants a new hat, I think, maybe a new cowl. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, I've got projects that I want to do outside of that, but I'm going to treat those projects like I treat my test patterns. Give myself a deadline, break it down, figure out like when I want to have it done, and stick to that. I kind of wanted to show you a few. I'm going a little long, I guess. I hope I'm not too rambly or ranty or driving you all crazy, but I just thought this stuff's in my head, and I just kind of wanted to share it. And I don't know how else to share it best. I'm not great at Instagram. I'm not great at typing. Oh, but I can talk. So I just wanted to kind of talk about I have learned that I need visual reminders. If I can see my progress, I'm much more likely to stick with it. If I can track it, even better. So I've done this for longer than I've been pattern. I started this before I started pattern testing. I actually started it using this system a couple years ago. It was actually kind of in conjunction with episode 8, the last one I recorded before I came back. In 2019, I knit Tabitha a dress for Easter, and then I had, right after that, I had my wedding shawl. And I had a deadline for both of those, and I only had 3 weeks to knit my wedding shawl. And it was a big shawl, and there was a lot of stitches in it. So I had to have both of those broken. I broke them down. The shawl came broken down that way. It was the Impressionist shawl by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, I hope. And she does percentage like chart spreadsheets with her patterns, so you kind of know where you are. And that was super helpful for me, especially it was a crescent shawl. And as you get in those long, you feel like you're never going to end. But when you see that you're 85% through, to me, that kept me going. It's like, oh, I only have 15%. Like, I am so much, like, almost done. So that was super helpful for me. So I have started doing spreadsheets for all of my bigger projects that I do, so that I can, and I break them down either into percentages, like, 5% increments, so I know how far along I am. Or this is I'm just going to show you the paper. It doesn't give too much of the pattern away, I'm pretty sure. This is my Twisted Tea shorts, and it's fairly basic. Like it started with some stockinette. So there's my cast on. I hope that's focused for you. But anyway, there's the rows of stockinette that you start with. So just row 1 through, how many did I do? 20? Through row 20. And I don't think this is giving too much of the pattern away. because this could be any pattern. And however many stitches you cast on, and then this is like the total number of stitches. I use a Excel formula to add them up. And then you can see over here that I took the total number of stitches and I've broken it down into 30 days. So that's how, and then I've gone through and about where those are. The first one was 1796 was day one. So right here at 1800, I put day one. Once I've completed that number of stitches, that's where I put my like day breaks. So I have this broken up into days for 30 days. And you can see right here, I put the date that I finished it, and then there's a check mark that I did that. In having this and seeing the 30 days, and my test is due, I believe August 31st, and I started on July 27th, so I have a little bit of wiggle room in the 30 days. That's kind of why I did the 30 days, so I would have time for blocking and pictures and stuff like that. Plus it just gave me a little wiggle room because I was pretty sure I wasn't gonna be able to hit every single day. But it gives me something to shoot for every day. And that's, like I said, throughout the day, if I'm like, oh, I was one row behind yesterday, so I didn't get yesterday checked off. So let me do that row and I'll check that off, and then I've got to make some good progress on today. I usually knit after Tabitha goes to bed. So I usually get about an hour after she goes to bed that I can just sit and knit, and we either watch a show or Rob plays a video game and I watch. So I know I'm gonna have a little end of night knitting time, but it's not always guaranteed to be the same amount of time. But I find this very helpful, and by putting the date over here, I can clearly see if I've skipped a day. Well, this week, one of the days this week, I just didn't look at it, and that wasn't helpful for me. I just didn't look at it, and so it wasn't in my mind, and then when I looked at it the next day, I was like, oh, I totally skipped a day. How did that happen? And it's because I didn't look at it. So if I look at this every day, and I pay attention, and this one I've been counting the rows and putting little check marks kind of as I finish a bunch of them. I don't do it every single row. I use stitch markers on my project. This is kind of like Kay the Crazy Sock Lady inspired. Yeah, the Crazy Sock Lady inspired this. So I have a light bulb marker every 10 rows, and I needed to go to 38 for the raglan increases. So I don't have to count the 10 every time. So I can just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm on 14, or I don't ever have to count more than 10. It's a quicker, for me, it's a quicker counting method. I really like that. That's why she does it on her socks, and she does it to keep them even also, but I just find it super helpful for counting my rows. So usually that's what I'll do. I look at my list and I know, oh, I need to go to row, like on, day 3, for example, I need to go to row 16. So I'll kind of count them, and it's like 1, 2, 3, okay, 14, and I'll check those off. And when I get to the end of the night and I'm putting my knitting away, I'll count where I'm at and I'll mark off what I've done and check off the days. But just having that visual reminder of exactly where I am. And right now, I'm just through the raglan increases. So it kind of feels like, oh, now I need to knit for another, I'm not certain how much, either 2.5 or 4.5 inches. I'm going to do 2.5, try them on and see what else I need for fit. But I just finished day 15, which day 15 out of 30 is halfway through. So I know I'm about halfway through, and I don't know about you, but hitting that halfway point just gives me the motivation to keep going and like to finish it up and to like run to the finish line. Like I said, having that constant reminder of how much I'm supposed to do that day really helps. Sometimes I don't break it up by day. I just break it up, like I said, by percentages, and knowing how far I need to go to get to the next percentage helps. Excuse me. If you do, in 5% increments, that is 20. I can't think of the word. Like checkpoints, I guess, that you're looking at along the way. So you can kind of, that one's a little more universal. It's like, okay, so I have 20 checkpoints. I have, like on my other shawl, I had 3 weeks, which is 21 days. So I have to do 5% a day, at least 5% a day. And one day I need to work ahead so I can skip one or two 5%, so I have blocking time and everything like that. So I don't know how exact the 3 weeks was, but that's 21 days roughly. So, you know, if you do 5% a day, and at the beginning, 5% of a crescent shawl, you know, 5% is a lot. And at the end, 5% is not so much. But you still know that you're doing the same 5%. So I have found that really helpful. I set up spreadsheets for most of my projects to try to keep me visually on top of like where I'm at and what I need to be doing. And it also helps me. I have timed myself on how fast I knit. Just if you're doing like those beginning rows where 300 stitches, stockinette in the round, set a timer on your phone, knit about 5 rows, because that's like 1,500 stitches. That's a good average of how fast you're going, pulling yarn, adjusting your stitches. And it's also really hard to just like marathon through 5 rows versus if you're only timing 1 row, you can kind of be like, you know, going vigorously so you can get it super quick. And then just divide the time by the number of stitches, and the number of stitches by the amount of time, because that's how many stitches per minute you knit. And I am between 22 and 25, kind of depending. I think I've sped up a little bit. 22 is what I got last time I checked, but I kind of timed myself on some of these rows and I was getting closer to 25, I think. So, but I just use 20. So I take that number of stitches that I'm supposed to do for the day and I divide that by 20 stitches a minute. That's how many minutes I need to work to get that done. So then I know, and it's sometimes it's eye-opening. It's like, oh, well, I really need to be knitting for an hour and a half a day to get this done on time. And so I know I need to figure out where that hour and a half a day is going to come in. So I've just found that really helpful. And like I said, looking at it regularly helps. Another example of where I'm learning that I'm a very big visual, like tracker learning person. At Christmas time, Rob went to Michael's and he found this notebook. It says notes, and then on the side it says, I don't know if you can, it's gold foil, but it says track list plan. And it's a blank notebook. It's got 6 months set up. I was gonna try to show you a blank month so you can see what the monthly spread, well, it says it's April, but it's not. So it's got this kind of, this is the beginning of the month. You've got goals, notes, bills, the month, your monthly quote, and then the little header. And then it's got just dot grid page, which I love a dot grid. And then you've got a calendar for the month. And I like that it gives you the backs of the pages just blank, so you can do whatever you want on them. A to-do list, and then this fun tracker, which I was really excited about. And then habit trackers, and there are 5 for every month. Then you just kind of have this little cute whatever page at the end, and then you go to the next month. So it's set up like that for 6 months of that, and then after that finishes, you have just this much blank dot grid paper. It's like 200 pages or something. And my favorite setup for a planner is it's a bullet journal setup, I guess. Weekly spreads where I have just enough room to write my stuff. If I skip time, I set it up like near the end of this month. I will set up September. I don't think September's in here at all. No, this is where it ends, and this is the week of September 5th. So, ending September 5th. So this just goes through August, and then I'm just blank pages. So when I set this up in January, I wrote the months on all the month pages. And in January, I started with my information. I started with my goals and my notes and a quote, and I did this as my my measurements. and I wrote in the month, and I even colored a little bit. One of my goals was to do 30 minutes of crafting a day. So I had a little calendar, and I would write in what I worked on that day, and the ones that are colored in purple means I did it. That was my little, my to-do list. I wasn't using as a to-do list per se, more for specific type stuff. But this is my favorite page. My circle tracker. This became my fitness tracker. I took a compass and separated it out into different circles, and one is my wake up time. So I get a different color for when I woke up. And for me, purple's the best. Pink's next, turquoise is next, and then green is next. I just went through some colored pencils and picked colors that resonated with me. I have some core exercises I'm supposed to be working on from my chiropractor. 10-minute workout, that's what I was going for at that point, is just getting a workout in. And I said a 10-minute workout, but it was either the 10-minute workout or a 20-minute walk. My water that I was drinking, and then how many steps I was getting per day. And every night, we'd put Tabitha to bed, I'd go sit at the kitchen table, and I would write in my stuff. Sometimes I'd write it in during the day, like the time I got up, I would write in the morning after my workout. I was writing in like what I was doing for my workout, or for my like exercises. And then this one's just my water. I would write my steps in the outer ring, and it's just so pretty and satisfying. And I loved my minimum steps goal, which I wasn't even always hitting. So they say you're supposed to get 10,000 steps a day. My minimum steps goal was 2,000 steps, which is not a lot, but some days I wasn't even hitting that. So movement was my thing. I just want to be up and moving. But if you notice, almost every day, there's just a few that I didn't even hit that. But because I would put Tabitha to bed, and I would look at I have a step counter on my watch. I'd look at my steps, and I'd see, oh, I'm at 1,600. And do you know what I'd do? I'd pace the house until I hit my 2,000 steps so that I could color in my box. That's exactly why I did it. And it's that visual and keeping it at the forefront of my mind every day that helped. I have some chores that I wanted to do every day, so I put them in my habit tracker so I could mark them off as I did them. And I did this for January, and I did it mostly for February. Well, I did it partly for February, I guess. And by March, I completely fell off. I wasn't working with it anymore at all. And this was clearanced at Michael's. And I was loving it so much that I went online, and they had some other like colors and styles online. So I ordered 4 or 5 other ones because this was only 6 months, which means I would need 2 of them to get through the year. And like, that's only gonna last me this year. And I always have that luck that I find a system that I love and then I can't get it anymore. So I ordered 4 or 5 more. They're in my craft room on a shelf. And then in March, I quit using it. And I was like, oh, and I was so sad that all these pages at the end were just going to be blank, because if I picked it up in June, I would, I'd need to go to the next one. Well, I realized that's silly, and I'm using this bullet journal style, which means I fill in what it is. And I wasn't even using the monthly stuff when I came back to this. I think I came back to it in June. Oh, maybe July? Because I had June. Oh, I'd even gone through and like I had my things set up. Like I'd stamped dates and whatnot in there. I wanted to stamp all my weekly things, and that slowed me down from using it too, because all my stamps weren't in there and pretty. So I used it a little bit in June, but I had it set up for that, and I started really using it again in July, and that's when I set it up, and I just wrote it in, and that's fine. I need to get over sometimes my idea that like it needs to be perfect, or it needs to be a certain way for me to use it. It's more functional this way for me. And I said, even though I wrote, oh, sorry, that's gonna be beeping for a minute. That's her, let me turn it off. Her monitor's beeping at me, that the battery's low. Even though I wrote April in that month that I showed you, there's this thing called whiteout or washi tape, and I can very easily turn that into something different. And like I said, that circle tracker is my favorite, and I loved using that. I loved coloring it in. I loved just that visual satisfaction every day was fun for me. And reviewing my things. Oh, I didn't drink enough water today. I need to be extra focused on my water tomorrow, or things like that. And it just made me so happy seeing all the colors filled in and how good I was doing, how much purple was on there. And even this month, I'm like, oh, but it's already August 13th. Like, I'm halfway through the month. There's no point in doing my circle for August. I'll wait till September. But I think I might fill it out for August anyway, because I still have half a month. Are these 2 weeks just nothing? No, they're still important. And like I said, sitting down every night and reviewing that and having that visual is just super helpful for me. And on my weekly spreads, I try to choose 3 things a day. That's why I don't need a ton of space on here. I've got pages in between months where I will just make like I call it a brain dump, where you just write down everything you think you might want to do. I've started keeping that on sticky notes, so I can shift them from week to week, and I can choose from, or I can review those and be like, oh, I never did that. I really need to do that now, because there's a couple things on here. Like the top of this list is from May 2021, and I have 6 things from May that I still haven't done. But in May, I thought they were important enough to write down. So if they're important enough to write down, they're probably important enough to do. So now I'm trying to figure out how to work those in. But I try to choose 3 things a day that are my have-to-dos. And I usually get to a point where, like, dishes is almost always one of those. But when you're at least for me, when I'm completely caught up on my dishes, because sometimes you'll make a dinner and it needs to bake or whatever, and I will quickly wash up whatever's in the sink. Oh, sorry, cat. After I've thrown it in the oven, and then go sit down and rest while it does. Sometimes you don't get that luxury if there's not like that break time, or sometimes I don't feel like doing them that night, because dishes for me are a morning thing, which is weird, but I do them in the morning. Then I'm caught up, and it's like, oh, well, dishes today is literally going to be 5 minutes. I have nothing to wash by hand. I just need to throw a few things in the dishwasher. So that's not one of my 3 things. And when I'm caught up like that, I like to have the dishes in the litter box and opening and dealing with the mail. Those are my 3 things that I think I should be doing every single day. But sometimes I get backed up on those. And so those become one of my 3 things to do that day. One of my 3 things is often a laundry item because we hang dry our clothes to try to save, well, it's better on the clothes. It saves drying time, like using the dryer, so it saves electricity. It really doesn't save me a lot of money on my electricity bill. When I switched over, it saved me like $4 or $5 a month is it. So it's not a huge like money saver, but we're not using the energy, and it's better on your clothes to not have them. They should last longer in theory. Anywho, so for me to do laundry, I wash a load and then I hang it up to dry, and then the next day I come back and I do fluff it in the dryer for 10 minutes on extra low heat. But my dryer takes like 80 minutes to dry a load on full, like if you're just drying it, so I feel 10 minutes is much better. Anyway, so it takes me 2 days to do a load of laundry. So a laundry item is on almost every day. But I can usually do 3 things, and sometimes if I think I'm having a day, I'll choose easier things, like putting something away, or like, I don't know, just I choose easier things, like sweep the kitchen. That's my thing. Needs to be done, but it's not gonna take me very long. It's not cleaning a toilet. Bathrooms are the bane of my existence. My shower is awful and needs like a deep clean, so I won't even regular clean because it needs a deep clean. And cleaning is one of my like depressive cycle things. I let the cleaning go, and then it's overwhelming, and then I don't even want to touch it. I'm really just trying to be, my word for this year was progress, and I just keep seeing progress over perfection. And I'm trying to work on that. And even a tiny step is progress. Tiny progress is still progress. So I'm just trying to make progress on things and keep up with them. But again, having the visual and looking at what 3 things, because I leave this open on my kitchen counter all the time. It's got a spot on my kitchen counter. If we need that area to cook with or whatever, I have a place I can tuck it away, so it's out of the way. But otherwise it sits on my kitchen counter because my kitchen is very central to my home. So I'm in there, like I'm going in there or through there a lot. So I see it all day long. And having that visual reminder of, oh, I said I was going to sweep the kitchen. It's like, I don't want to sweep the kitchen. It's like, but just sweep the kitchen. Sometimes I have to do that. So I just kind of wanted to share some of the things I'm learning. I guess I should have maybe broken this down into a few more, like, maybe next time I'll keep track of some of the things in case maybe next week I won't have anything to talk about, and this has taken almost an hour, so that's like a long time. But we'll see. I think I'll jot them down, and we'll see how many like realizations I have each week or things I think I want to share. And maybe I'll keep a list and try only sharing like one thing at a time, and see if we can keep these a little shorter. And if I end up with too many ideas, then I'll just have to make them longer and share lots of ideas. Not that I'm not perfect. Oh my heavens, I'm so not perfect. But I feel like I'm making progress, and I just kind of wanted to share some of the things that I'm finding are working, because it's been so long that nothing has worked. I've had no motivation, no drive, just like no desire for certain things. I opened my Etsy store in 2011 thinking I wanted to sell things online. That was 10 years ago. And last year I finally made enlisted masks, and that was the first time I ever sold anything on Etsy. 9 years later, and I am still not working it. I have had various ideas that I've wanted to work. And even I was talking about my project bags on the episode 2 years ago, the last one I recorded, and they're still not ready to go. And what am I waiting for? I don't know. Like, I keep hearing in my podcast, and maybe this is part of my drive now, that I don't want to be older and be like, oh, if I'd done that, we could have done so many more things. There's a lot of things I want to do with that money. I've already thought about that to try to make that my why, and that hasn't been a big enough drive. But I want to do it because I've said I want to do it for the past 10 years, and I've never done it. So I at least want to know that I gave it a try, and I did it. And for some reason it's sticking. Finally, I found something, and I don't know if it's just hearing these positive messages constantly that is making it kind of click, but something is helping. I'll link to those podcasts down below, so you can check them out. I listen to them on Spotify. I don't know, I'm assuming they're wherever else you can listen to podcasts. I don't know a whole lot about podcasts. I just know that I had to find a few when I was in the car so much. I didn't want to just listen to music. I felt like I wanted to do something with that time. So that's how I got into them, and now they're really helping and changing my mindset, which is what I really needed. So if I can share some of that with you guys and maybe help even just one other person, that would be great. If you have any questions or want to talk about anything else, or want me to go more in depth into anything, just let me know in the comments down below. I know not a whole lot of people watch these, and that's fine. It truly is more for me, and even just saying these things out loud. Can I tell you how excited I just want to go work on all the things right now. Like I want to clean my house and finish some things, and I don't know. I want to do all the things right now, because I'm excited, because I shared them with you. So thank you for giving me this platform to do that. And like I said, if I've helped one person, then that is great. Sorry, I could ramble all day, and I really need to stop. It's an hour. So I'm gonna go. Hopefully I'll be back next week. I think I'm planning on it. I think I've at least got, even if I don't have a whole bunch of crafty stuff, like I said, I kind of want to share my journey. I think this will be good for me. So until next week, have a rosy ray day. Bye.